Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Leslie and I talk about all things frugal living, budgeting, and everything related to that. So if you're into that stuff, you're in the right place. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about a subject that is always on my mind, especially as I get older, and that is longevity and health and fitness. So a lot of people think that living in a healthy way, being fit, these things cost a lot of money. But I am happy to tell you that that is not the case. You don't have to have expensive gym equipment. You don't need fancy supplements. You don't need any of these things. You can do a lot with what you already have. Many things are free and a lot will actually save you money in the long run. So I've split up this list into a few different categories. So fitness, nutrition, and just general healthy living tips. I do have my bachelor's in dietetics, so nutrition is something that is really important to me, and I'm just really excited to share with you a few of these tips. So first on the list, I'm just going to start with fitness. So I have my fancy list here on notebook paper to help me out. Lately I've been taking a lot of notes on notebook paper. I don't know, it's just easier for me instead of carrying around my iPad. So let's jump into the fitness portion. So one of my favorite books is Outlive by Peter Attia, and if you like health-related content, I highly recommend his book. One thing that he talks about in his book and his podcast is that going from being very sedentary and not very active, going from that state to lightly active actually makes a bigger difference than someone who goes from being lightly active to more active than they already are. So going from zero to doing something makes such a huge difference. So don't discount those small changes because they really do add up. So what are some frugal ways to get fit? What are some frugal ways to get fit? One of the easiest things to do around the house is just body weight exercises. You have a body, it is free to use, so just do body weight exercises. Things like squats and push-ups, and you could do Pilates and yoga, that kind of thing. There are so many YouTube videos out there to be able to do these kinds of things at home. So this is a great free resource you can use. The next one is to go on a walk or a jog outside. Now, I know not everyone has access to sidewalks or a safe walking environment outside. So I used to live in Ohio and there were like no sidewalks where I lived. It was a very rural area. So that was not really an option where I used to live. I'm very lucky now to live in a super walkable city, but I know that's not the norm for everyone, especially in the US. So what can you do if you don't have a safe place to walk outside, or you're just not able to for some reason? Maybe it's too cold and you just don't want to walk outside. You can look for a local walking track, so maybe at a park or a school. The only thing, I'm not sure if the school walking tracks are open all the time, so that may not be an option, but I wanted to include it just in case. But another thing that might be an option if there's a mall near you. So when I used to work at the mall, we had mall walkers that would come in, and basically they would literally just walk around the mall a few laps before all the stores open. So the mall had its doors open, but the rest of the stores were still closed. So the mall was pretty much empty aside from the mall walkers. So that was a great way for people to get their steps in. And it was kind of cool just seeing people getting their exercise in the morning as I was opening at the many stores I've worked at in the mall. And then the other thing, if you for some reason can't leave your house or you don't want to, you can do indoor walking videos. This is actually one of my favorites. So on YouTube, if you just look up indoor walking, you will find so many videos of doing indoor walking. And actually, once you kind of get in the hang of the different moves, you can just put on your own music and do your own little indoor walking. That's what I tend to do now. So you can find workout music, and a lot of times workout music, it will go with a certain beats per minute. So you can kind of figure out what pace you want to do and then look up workout music with that beats per minute. So something like 120 BPM, something like that. Kind of test it out, see what's too fast, what's too slow, and what you like. So you can actually just listen to music and do your own indoor walking. So there's a lot of options for just getting more steps in your day. Another thing you can do is buy some small equipment, so things like dumbbells or resistance bands. I would definitely recommend a yoga mat, especially if you have hardwood, because it is so uncomfortable to do stretching on a hardwood floor. If you have carpet, you can probably get away with it, but just getting some of these small things, it's not terribly expensive, and it's something that you can have in your house. And one thing to add in here, if you are focusing on weight training and doing strength exercises, an important thing to do is progressive overload. So this is generally adding more weight, but you can also just add more reps or more sets. So all it is increasing what you're doing to build more muscle, because your muscles will kind of get used to whatever weight you're at. But if you add more reps and more sets, that can really help you with that progressive overload. So you don't have to have a ton of dumbbells if you can just have a couple of sizes and then just do a bunch of reps or a bunch of sets or both. For me, I actually do have a gym membership. It's one of those expenses that I think is really worth it. Mine is like $45 a month, which there are definitely cheaper options out there at some of the chain gyms. But the reason I do my gym is because it's at the office where I work. So I go to the gym in the morning and then I just go straight to work. So it is super convenient, and that extra expense I think is really worth it because I mean, they have everything there. They have all the machines and the dumbbells and the cardio and the classes, a pool. My daughter takes swim lessons there. So it might be possible that getting a gym membership is actually a decent option for you. So I don't think gym memberships are a waste of money at all. It is only a waste of money if you don't use it. So if you get a membership, make sure you're going a lot. I tend to go like 3 or 4 days a week plus the swimming day for my daughter. So we definitely get our value out of our gym membership. So another thing to keep in mind is that cleaning can be cardio. So I know things like scrubbing the tub and mopping and just honestly scrubbing anything can work up a sweat, but doing any kind of chores can definitely be cardio, especially when you're going back and forth between rooms or using your muscles to do things. So keep that in mind, that if you don't know what to do one day or you don't have time to do anything exercise related, if you just do some chores, you can definitely get your heart rate going. If you're someone who needs a little extra motivation, one thing you can do is just track your steps. So I use my Garmin watch. It is definitely not necessary to use a watch. You can track it on your phone. You can buy just an old school pedometer to put on your hip or I think your ankle or wherever. Just track your steps somehow and see if you can consistently start to get more steps. I think a good rule that you can do is each week try to increase it by like 1,000 steps as your average per day, maybe 500. I know sometimes you kind of have a limit on how much you can do in a day, especially if you're like me and you work in an office. There's only so many extra things I can do to get extra steps. So I get like, my bare minimum per day is 5,000. I do not want to do less than 5,000. Ideally, I try to do 7,000. I would love to do 10, but it's just really hard to get 10,000 steps into my day unless I'm doing a lot of extra walking, and I just don't always have time for that. So another thing you can look at is community resources. So things like free classes, or maybe there's a hiking trail nearby that's free. We have actually several near us that are great. So hiking, walking trails, just a general walking track, like I mentioned. Just look in your community and see if you can find some free resources like that. I also wanted to mention in this portion that time constraints are totally valid. You may be watching this and thinking, I mean, I don't mind spending extra money, I just don't have the time. And I totally get that. I'm so busy. Like I said, the only way I fit in the gym time is if I do it right before work at the place where I work. So one of the best things to do is just look at your day and look at where you're wasting time and where you potentially have extra time. So for me, it was right before work because my husband and we used to carpool to work. And so I would have like almost about an hour to kill every morning. So I had that extra hour where I could go to the gym. And now, even though we don't carpool, it's just so convenient to go in the morning that I kept that routine. For you, it could be the opposite. There was a time where I worked out after work. I don't really like doing that because I get home pretty late. It's almost 7 p.m. by the time I get home. So it just depends on your schedule. But also look at times where you're just sitting and watching TV, sitting and scrolling your phone, just little things like that you might be able to replace with some exercise, or do exercise while you're doing those things. So I did invest in a walking pad a couple of years ago. I really don't use it quite as much anymore, but one thing you can do is whenever you want to scroll your phone or watch TV, just make sure you're walking while you do it. So you just stand up and do your indoor walking stuff while you're watching TV. You could buy a cheap walking pad like I did. You could also find them on Facebook Marketplace. I'm sure they're on there. Just have some sort of like cardio machine where you can do some cardio while you're doing some of these mindless things. Another time that you may have a little bit of downtime is while you're cooking. So maybe you're standing by the stove and you're stirring things and just watching it cook. You can always do some body weight exercises. So my husband and I both do this. While we're cooking, we might be doing squats or push-ups or some crunches or a plank or whatever. Just simple little exercises while it's cooking. So you can kind of kill two birds with one stone. You get your home-cooked meal and you get your workout all in one. I know it sounds kind of silly because it does look weird, like someone is watching you cook and you're just doing all these random exercises while you're cooking, but I promise you it really helps, and it makes it easier to fit in some of those workouts. At the very least, just stand up and move around while you're doing some of these mindless tasks, and that will get a little more activity into your day. So the main takeaway from all of this is focus on doing more than what you are currently doing. So just make that your goal. Just consistently keep doing more than what you're currently doing, and eventually you will be doing quite a bit of activity in your day. That's really how I did it, because I used to be very sedentary. Like I still am. If it was up to me, I would be a complete couch potato all the time. Like being active is just not really natural to me. It's something I really had to work at, but it's very second nature now, and I promise it can be the same for you. Sorry if you can hear the garbage truck out there. I don't know why it came so late. Like it's like lunchtime. That seems really late. Anyway, so nutrition is the next category, and this is one where I've been working at the nutrition portion like since high school. I've always been so interested in, oh my god, it's so loud. So I've always been so interested in nutrition, which is why I got a degree in it. I did end up switching fields and I got my master's in IT, so that's why I'm not an actual dietitian at this point. But I don't know if it makes me more credible that I did go through school for this, but either way, let's talk about some of the frugal things you can do when it comes to your healthy diet. The number one thing that will help you and really helps me is to meal plan or meal prep. So make sure you plan out your meals for the week and then meal prep your meals. So if you're very busy, the meal prepping really comes in handy. So on Sunday nights, I will prep all of my breakfast and my lunch for the week. For dinner, I tend to do things really simple because I do get home very late. So I might just have like a salad with some chicken on it. I'll like throw some chicken in the air fryer. I might do just some frozen veggies and chicken. It's usually chicken, honestly, for dinner. If I'm really in a pinch, I'll have like hard-boiled eggs on a salad with some cheese or something. Just have some protein in there and keep it simple. So yeah, meal prepping is just such an important thing to do if you're busy and you want to eat healthy. Because if you're busy and you don't have time to make something, that's when you're gonna stop and get fast food or get something that's unhealthy for you. Also, by the way, I do have a video that I will post the link to about how to save money at the grocery store, and some of these are repeated tips, but I would definitely check out that video if saving money on food is a priority for you, which honestly at this point it is for most people. Another thing that I've been doing recently is if I can't figure out what I want to eat and I have a bunch of random ingredients and I'm not sure what to do with them, I will ask ChatGPT. So I will put all of my random ingredients. Like I have chicken, canned tomatoes, tuna, eggs, lettuce, broccoli, just whatever random things, soy sauce, sriracha, just enter a bunch of your random ingredients that you have on hand and it will throw out some recipe ideas for you. So that has been so helpful to cut back on food waste. It's just such a great resource. You can always just Google or look on Pinterest. Pinterest is a really good one for recipes, but you can always look at one of those places if you want ideas too. So maybe you have chicken and broccoli, so look up chicken and broccoli recipes or something like that. I think ChatGPT really comes in handy when you have a lot of random things and you're not quite sure what goes together or what to do with it. If you are someone who likes cookbooks, I really like the fix it and forget it cookbooks. I tend to get those all the time because I love my slow cooker for meal prep, but you can get any kind of cookbooks at the library. The library is such a great resource for cookbooks, but like I said, things like Pinterest or just Googling recipes, you will find a lot of stuff out there. When you are looking at recipes, I would highly recommend avoiding recipes with a lot of ingredients and especially a lot of unique ingredients. So things that don't necessarily go with other things. So maybe you want to make a stir fry and it calls for sesame oil, but you're someone who literally never makes Asian foods and that sesame oil is just going to go to waste. Maybe you can find something else to use instead or just use a different recipe. So that is something to watch out for. When you're looking at the ingredients, try to keep in mind what you're going to use those ingredients for if you're going to have leftovers. I don't know if I need to explicitly state this, but cooking at home is much cheaper than going out or getting fast food or anything like that. So all of these tips are based on the assumption that you're going to be making food at home and shopping at the grocery store. Now, convenience food or prepackaged meals aren't necessarily bad. You just need to use them the right way. So I do occasionally buy a frozen dinner. It's pretty rare, to be honest, but I don't want to have to stop for fast food or get anything out. And I do sometimes have those days where I don't have anything to eat, I'm tired, I just want something quick, and that is when I reach for a frozen dinner. So try to have something on hand that you can throw together quickly. Honestly, at this point, I tend to do like tuna salad sandwiches or something like that instead of a frozen dinner because I don't know, frozen dinners, they can be kind of pricey. It's still cheaper than going out to eat, but yeah, they're not cheap. So that's one of those things that use it like as an emergency food item if you're just too tired and your only other option is going out to eat. You can also buy staples like oats, rice, beans, that kind of thing. Buy those in bulk and you'll usually get a cheaper dollar per ounce when it comes to those foods. So definitely buy that stuff in bulk if it's something that you eat a lot. Another one is to use seasonal produce. So things in season, they tend to taste fresher, they tend to have a better nutritional profile, and they also tend to be cheaper. So definitely look at in-season foods. Related to that, you should shop sales. So look at your store's weekly ad and see if you can plan your meals around what's on sale. A good thing to do is to pick a protein first, so definitely check out the proteins that are on sale. If you're looking at cheap proteins, things like chicken thighs, Greek yogurt, beans, whatever sale items there are, you can sometimes find ground turkey, chicken legs, chicken breast. You can find all kinds of good stuff on sale, so I always recommend looking at the sales section. Frozen fruits and veggies are a really great cheap option. But again, I mean, if you can find some fresh ones on sale, that's a great one too. If you're someone who tends to have your produce go bad, maybe you should look into frozen because they will last longer. Another thing is to buy store brands. So store brand versus the name brand, a lot of times you're just paying for the name brand and the taste isn't that different. So definitely shop for store brands. That's something that I used to not do in the past, but now I always buy the store brand. And then the final thing is that you can really just skip the supplements. You don't have to, this kind of applies, I guess, to both fitness and nutrition because so many people push all these supplements and vitamins and just all these different things. You really don't need that kind of stuff. I would say the only ones that I could probably jump on board with are magnesium and vitamin D and possibly protein powder. I know I use protein powder all the time and I find it really helpful. And if you look at the amount per serving and versus how much protein is in it, it's really not terribly expensive for the amount of protein you're getting. So I do incorporate that. But magnesium, it helps a lot with muscle cramps, so I take it all the time. I literally never have muscle cramps, like ever. And then vitamin D, a lot of people are deficient in, and it's very important for immunity. And magnesium and vitamin D kind of play off of each other. They're very important to take together. So I always take my magnesium and vitamin D supplements. But again, this is not something that's, I wouldn't say it's like essential for you to do, but that's the only one that I think would probably be a good idea. If you're looking at things like creatine and more of these like bodybuilding supplements or things like other weird ones like ashwagandha and like maca powder and just all these random things you can buy. I've actually tried several of them myself, and I know they didn't do anything for me. In fact, a lot of them I just felt side effects, like they made me feel worse. So I have a bunch of supplements I tried and don't use and just wasted money. So I am a little biased just based on my own experience, but the whole point is to not feel like you have to buy these supplements. Oh, another one that might be good is like Metamucil or something like that. If I have IBS-C, so it's constipation dominant IBS, and I know Metamucil really helps me out a lot. So if you have digestion issues or issues going to the bathroom, like something like Metamucil is really great to include in your diet as well. But yeah, supplements are very individual based. So I guess just know what works for you and don't feel obligated to keep trying them. So the final category is just other health benefits. So the number one thing I have on here as far as health benefits, prioritize your sleep. Sleep is so important, and especially for women. There have been studies shown that women actually need more sleep than men. So if you are a woman, you really need to prioritize your sleep. If you're a man, you should honestly do it as well, because I know a lot of men who get by on like 4 hours of sleep every night, and that is not healthy unless you're just one of those rare people who can do that. But that is something to really pay attention to. So in my case, where I go to the gym early in the morning, I also go to bed pretty early. So don't sacrifice your sleep time just to add in gym time or something like that. You really need to make sure you're getting enough sleep. It helps with things like recovery from your workouts, stress management, your hunger levels. I mean, sleep is just so essential. It can really help to have a calm nightly routine. So for me, I tend to read before bed. I literally in a dark room because I use my Kindle. I was gonna say cut back on screen time, which you should. My Kindle backlight it's very mild, so it doesn't keep me awake. But yeah, cut back on screens, maybe read a book, have the lights dim, just something to kind of calm yourself and get your body ready for sleep. The next thing is to drink water all day. So carry a water bottle with you and just make sure you're sipping on the water bottle throughout the day. Make sure you're getting plenty of water, because a lot of people are dehydrated and will have symptoms without realizing they're just dehydrated. Things like headaches or fatigue, and just honestly just a lot of different things can be caused by dehydration. So make sure you are getting enough water in the day. So, okay, so the next one is stretch and move daily. So even if it's just really simple things, like I said, taking a walk, taking the stairs when you can, parking a little further back so you have to walk a little bit more, going into the store to get your groceries instead of having them ordered and delivered to your car. Just doing morning stretching. My husband and I both do this, and we both notice a difference where if there's a day where we didn't do our stretches, we are both just so like our muscles are so tight and we just feel awful if we skip a couple days of stretching. So if you are over 30 like I am, it is very important to make sure you do your daily stretching. I promise you will feel a difference. Next would be to limit alcohol and smoking and really just any substances like that. Keep those limited. I mean, really for obvious reasons. It's not good for you. It'll save you money. It ages you. So definitely don't do that kind of thing. You also want to look at stress management techniques. So if you're constantly stressed all the time, you have that cortisol spike, it is really, really bad for your health. So you need to figure out ways that you can de-stress from your day. I know that is so much easier said than done. This is one that I really struggle with also, but just find whatever way you like to decompress. So it might be something like deep breathing or meditating. I tend to do that before bed. It could also be something like coloring or doing yoga, or I don't know, just watching a calm movie, just whatever it is that helps you decompress, make sure you're doing that. And then finally, for all of these, just stay consistent. I promise you, small changes really, really do add up. And as long as you're consistently doing better than you were before, then you're going to be really far ahead of where you were. So just keep making small changes and they will really add up. So I hope this list was helpful and that you have some ideas for how to take care of your health while still being on a budget and being frugal about it. If there's anything I left off, please let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out my tiny, small little channel. And I just appreciate you all so much. If you watched to the end of this video, I love you. Thank you. So anyway, I will see you in the next one. Bye.